There's something going on, man, in the metals market I've never seen before, ever. And something is very different. You have so many things that are happening at the same time. I'll give you an example. Um, you had 59,296 gold contracts at 100 ounces apiece stand for delivery on the February gold contract. That surpasses the June 2020 COVID record of 47,132 contracts standing for delivery. That is a difference of 12,164 contracts at 100 ounces apiece. You're talking 157 tons of gold. You're talking over 5 million ounces of gold standing for delivery in the month of February. You have a situation that is being, I think, misread by the threat of the Trump tariffs. They're using that, I think, is in an effort to suck all the gold over to the United States. I have a thesis on all of this, I guess.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's crazy that I go down this road, but I just can't help getting past it. So, you have gold as the tier one asset we've talked about. The only other one next to U.S. Treasuries. That was reclassified by the BIS. You have the banks continuing to accumulate gold. You have them all repatriating their gold from the New York Fed and the Bank of England. We've talked about that. 40 countries brought their gold home from the New York Fed, which would give direct access to COMEX, from the Bank of England giving direct access to the LBMA. You have, let's put all these things together. You have the banks buying at a level that no one's ever seen, over and over and over again. They're doubling down the 12-month moving average now, and doing it in a clandestine manner at the same time, not reporting to the IMF like they're supposed to, but like China and Saudi Arabia being outed by the import-export numbers. Oh, sorry, we made a mistake. I always thought it was crazy that JP Morgan was able to be the custodian of SLV as they paid that $920 million fine to the Justice Department for manipulating the metals market. Sure, go ahead. You can still be the custodian of the world's largest silver trust. Well, quietly, they just took control of GLD, they and BlackRock, from HSBC Bank. They're holding more gold now than most of the G20 countries are on behalf of GLD. The majority of it in two vaults, one in New York, one in London, that are owned by JP Morgan. A little nefarious, if you ask me. While we're on the topic of GLD, 16 tons of gold have exited GLD recently. Now, people who would analyze that would say, well, that's people selling, taking profits, and repositioning into NVIDIA and Bitcoin and Apple. And I say bullshit. I say that's the insiders fleeing before something happens. They are pulling the gold out of these unallocated positions and taking what's called share redemption in physical gold. It's the inside money. If I had to guess, that's exactly what is happening. We have a record amount of gold leaving London and going to the United States, supposedly because of the tariffs, right? All of these naked short positions that are backed by nothing, and they're freaking out. Well, if we get called on the carpet for delivery, think of all the deliveries that were requested in the month of February. We don't have anything backing it. We better get it. So you can take your contract and exchange it because of its fungibility for physical in London. And the settlement in London is T+1, 1 day. It's now 6 to 8 weeks. To me, that's a default. Where the hell's my gold? I'm supposed to get it in 1 day. No, 6 to 8 weeks. And they come up with lame excuses about refining and this and that and backlogs. It almost represents a default. While we're on the topic of massive deliveries, JP Morgan is set to deliver $4 billion in gold to the COMEX in February, one of the largest shipments ever. Since November of 2024, almost 12.5 million ounces of gold and 40 plus million ounces of silver has moved from the London vaults to US vaults. It's almost as if the government or the Federal Reserve appear to be accumulating physical gold and silver, possibly as a sovereign wealth fund strategy. Let's think about that for a moment. And of course, the Trump tariff threats have accelerated this metal migration. So you got all the metal moving over. You got JP Morgan in control of GLD and SLV. I've always said that's how they would confiscate gold. They would take the ETFs. Everyone's got their money in the largest stockpile of silver and the fourth or fifth of gold. What? We didn't do anything wrong. We closed the fund. You can still buy physical gold in the United States. We just closed the ETFs. You can't take possession of it unless you're a monster commercial bank or something and that's what we're seeing right now with all of the millions of ounces flowing out of GLD. They're selling their shares, redeeming them for physical. It looks like they're losing demand. No, it's the insiders getting the real stuff before the great taking happens. But it gets a little even bit crazier. I mean, I'm wondering, are they front running the bricks by trying to, be the first to monetize their gold? I did an interview with Judy Schectman. I said, Judy wants to issue 50-year treasuries backed by gold. If people don't know who she is, she's an amazing lady. She was Trump's nominee for Fed chair in 2016. She wasn't confirmed, but she told me flat out, I discussed this with him in the first administration, and I believe he will issue them 50-year treasuries redeemable in gold on July 4th, 2026, the 250th year anniversary. She said it's the only way to inspire confidence in a failing treasury market. I said, Judy, why haven't they audited the gold at Fort Knox? Good question, she said. She says it's a lame answer all the time that it's about logistics and costs. She says that's bullshit. We're the United States. We should be able to spend a few million, get the logistics down, and audit the gold. I said, Judy, do you know the gold is held in an account across every central bank balance sheet called the gold revaluation account? She says, yes, I do. I said, Judy, do you know that the head of the Dutch National Bank, members of the Bundesbank in Germany, and now Cynthia Loomis from Wyoming, the senator, is advocating for gold revaluation? She says, I'm a big fan of Cynthia Loomis. She says, what I expect to happen is that they will issue 50-year treasuries backed by gold, and stable coins will be issued off of those. And she says, that would be my desire. I said, are they going to revalue gold? And not in so many words. She said, yeah, probably. Gold would be revalued because the central banks around the world have been accumulating it in a copious fashion. So the U.S. puts JP Morgan in charge of GLD and SLV. Gold is tier one. All the gold is coming home. And they're saying it's because of tariffs. He hasn't said he's going to do it, just a threat, but record amounts coming home. Record amounts. Now, could it be that they try and revalue the price of gold in order to regain legitimacy? I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. Why is it held in every central bank balance sheet in the gold revaluation account? And wouldn't it be easier to take the massive stockpile of gold in the ETFs held by the cartel bank that manipulates the market on behalf of the federal government, than going door to door to my house and yours, people who believe in the NRA? Wouldn't it be much easier to maintain save face with the world instead of activating eminent domain and taking gold when the rest of the world promotes it to their citizens? And you have it conveniently held in one place. You now revalue gold to a level sufficient enough to achieve whatever it is that you want. $140,000 an ounce gold, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it did, that would put our balance sheet pretty much on par with liabilities and assets. But every $4,000 increase by the price of gold is $1 trillion free and clear to the Treasury General account. And Trump wouldn't need to do anything but to tell Scott Bessent, which, by the way, it's his largest holding. He says that, and he just got through saying we're going to monetize the asset side of the balance sheet. Now, let's talk about that for a moment. If you Google U.S. government balance sheet, what you'll find is roughly $5 trillion in assets, the largest of which is student debt. Not going to monetize that. They call it an asset. Yes, they do, and it is the largest asset. Number two is military bases. They're not going to monetize that. Number three is land. They could. And I don't know exactly where gold fits into the balance sheet, but they could definitely remonetize gold. Over my shoulder is Roosevelt. He confiscated gold in 1933. That $20 gold coin right there, he paid everyone $20.56. That was a lot of money in 1933, that extra 56 cents. And then he devalued the dollar by 40%, revaluing gold to $35 an ounce instantly. It's happened. 1971, when we went off the gold standard or closed the gold window, the market revalued gold to where it is now at almost 2,900 or at 2,900 from 35. So when you talk about gold revaluation, not only is it held in the gold revaluation account, not only does Vicent, which is his largest holding, want to revalue it, all he would need to do is tell Jerome Powell, Jerome, revalue the price of gold. You don't even need congressional approval. Now, I'm not saying it's going to go that high. You got guys like James Rickard says it goes to 24,000. He took that by dividing M1 into the amount of gold, or I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different people saying a lot of different things. But I do believe that, look, all the central banks have been buying it. The BIS reclassified a tier one. An organization like that does not do things like that just for the hell of it. It's the most powerful bank in the world. It would benefit every central bank on the planet to revalue the price of gold. And now you can do things like issue treasuries collared to gold for 50 years, redeemable in gold, issue stable coins off of it. I think it will be a marriage between blockchain technology and gold, not a CBDC, but a stable coin. Everyone's talking about these stable coins, and they would be able to control the on-ramp and the off-ramp. It's in essence the same thing without the pushback, because it's third party, so to speak. It's not issued by the government. I don't know. I really, truly believe something is going on. Something is going on to a degree that I've never seen in this marketplace. And the amount of demand for physical demand at really high levels is extraordinary. Yet the people in this country have their head buried in the sand and are asleep. The premiums right now are the lowest I've ever seen. The retail side of things, it's classic misdirection by the biggest money in the world, directing into Bitcoin and Nvidia and Apple and all these shiny things, while all they're doing is massively accumulating gold and repatriating it. And the amount that is heading into the United States is striking.